Okay, so I don't know. I was recording something, singing, by my desk there, and for whatever reason, I guess the camera wasn't on. So I'll put this first, and then what did get recorded in regards to this fish. Okay? And of course, I'm talking about, what's going on and just whatever, right? Like with the gaslighting that I have to live with all the time, and the guilt tripping, and being terrorized, literally, people, get rid of your stuff and like sell it all and just go away. Like, yeah, okay, where am I going? Like, go dig a fucking hole and put me in a fucking hole and cover it up. Just go cover up with dirt and just ignore it, right? Pretend it never fucking existed, right? Because that's pretty much what it fucking boils down to. And like, for the ones that question what happened to my family in regards to Sierra being lured to her death, literally, people, okay, like, first of all, you don't live in British Columbia, Canada. You don't know the history of this province when it comes to, I guess you could say, the targeting of the Aboriginal people, the natives, back in the day when, they were taken from their homes and put into residential schools, and they were experimented on, and just a lot of shady, and that was all being done through the Catholic Church and through our policing departments and our government and the whole nine yards, as if Aboriginal people and Native people are the only people that are targeted in this province. However, that's the way the government likes to play that card, that they are the only victims to things like what happened to Sierra. Janice Shore, I think she had Aboriginal heritage in her, in her biology. The woman in 2018 that had her eyes gouged out in the ravine that's not even 200 feet away from me, she was an Aboriginal woman. Okay, Sierra maybe wasn't an Aboriginal woman, but she was black. So, and I've said this before, blacks are being targeted in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Aboriginal people are being targeted in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And so are Caucasians. Okay? Because we're being replaced by an immigration population that's got our government through their voting bloc down on their knees, basically. Okay? As you got the UN coming in with their fucking agenda. And honestly, you don't know who is human anymore in this province. Because if you think you got these underground bases and labs and all this other shit going on in the United States of America, well, go up into the freaking interior of British Columbia, Canada, and trust me, you're gonna find the same shit out there, isolated in the woods somewhere where nobody's gonna fucking find it, because there is definitely an infestation of something going on bad in this province. All right? And yeah, there are handlers out there that like to steer away from that fucking information and like to victimize people who are who are victims to the politics around here, in terms of, well, let's just open up 5 pages on YouTube with different usernames, never slap our face on so that people know who the fuck they're dealing with, but just run around talking on about all these homeless people coming in from all these provinces or wherever, as if that is the whole problem and nothing but the problem. No, that is the symptom to the bigger problem. And each and every one of those individuals out on that freaking street, I don't care what street they're on in the province of British Columbia, Canada, are at risk to being targeted and lured to their deaths if they're not freaking straight up freaking murdered through hot capping with fentanyl or whatever. How about Mo being pushed off a fucking 33-story freaking balcony after he calls out my name? Oh, sorry, no, he didn't call out my name because his girlfriend said, don't bother now, Mama Lynn on her doorstep at 6:30 in the morning. Just come to my house. But no, that wasn't the fucking plan now, was it? Where he was, all those people said, oh, no, don't go to your girlfriend's house. Come to this party. It's only 10 minutes away. We're going to go to the tower, like the skyrise, right? And they took him there. Instead, he should have came and said hello to me, and I would have told him to go see his girlfriend. His girlfriend was saying, come see me. But the people he was with said, no, come with us. At 6:30 in the morning. By 7 o'clock, he was fucking dead because he fell off a freaking balcony 33 stories down with nobody, not one person witnessing that fact. And then they all sat up there and played dumb and then continued to party after the fact of finding out what happened to him. Oh, yeah. Well, we know what happened to him, don't we? It's not that freaking hard to figure out what the hell's going on in this province. I've already shown you how the cops are fucking dirty out here. How they cover up murder, straight up fucking murder with Shimei. How I've already shown you how they lure innocent, vulnerable people that are forced to live on the fucking streets because the government likes them out there, because they can pimp them out, they can sell their drugs to them, they can abuse them, and then they can finally capitalize off them with their stupid snuff movies. Why do you think I was out on that porch with my kids, people, with that baby-faced cop, 6'7", standing there guarding the fucking door? Yeah. And they used, what, John Hart? How many times have I said it? To identify Sierra's body because a corrupt government wrote it into legislation saying that anybody could identify a fucking body, as they mocked and humiliated the family out in the fucking rain on the doorstep. As they were saying that they were going to investigate John Hart for suspicion because it looked suspicious in regards to how Sierra was found by them. No, they were fucking feeding off of her, people. Okay? You want to put your head in the sand? Well, maybe you'll get lucky and never fall trap to them. But then, you know, when it does happen, it will fucking blindside you. It will fucking blindside you. And once they target your family, they don't stop with one. And that's what my videos have shown you. Right? And they used organized religion to push it forward. I don't know who's working for who. I don't know if the fucking dirty cops are working for the fucking Punjabis or if the fucking Punjabis are working for the fucking dirty cops and the fucking dirty government. All I know is there's a whole bunch of dirty fucking individuals out here that are taking advantage of people. Innocent people. Namely, natives, blacks, and Caucasians. Namely, they want the old people's houses so they can bring in the UN soldiers and fucking just demolish them to build in their box cities so they can stack and pack human beings like rats as they introduce their fucking bugs as the rich landlords sit up in their smart cities repeating the process. And will be the next generation of fucking slum landlords in 20 to 30 years once these buildings get old, after they capitalize every penny that they can get off it, as they go around fucking harvesting organs illegally to pay for it, and makes taxpayers fucking pay for the whole process via using public hospitals, and the government's covering it up. And then, of course you're going to get your little handlers running around in the community taking pictures of this homeless person, this problem, this problem. So that when you walk away from that fucking video, you don't like them. You don't want to help them. You wish ill on them. You want them in an early fucking grave because you've somehow now been convinced that they're the fucking problem. Yeah, right. Not one will be able to afford any kind of fucking housing. They don't have no choice but to be out there. And they're at the mercy of dirty fucking cops, people. They're at the mercy of a dirty fucking government, people. They're at the mercy of dirty fucking organized religion. Bottom line. Anyway. One jar didn't seal. I heated it up. I've already tasted it. I thought maybe I put too much salt in it, but I didn't. It's perfectly fine. It's actually quite good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash up some potatoes. I'm going to boil some potatoes. And I'm going to mash them up. I'm going to pick through, take out the bones. I don't even know what happened to the bones yet in terms of how they got cooked. I'm sure there's some kind of bone in here. I'm curious to know how soft they are. Like, I hope to hell not one of you nay-fucking-sayers that watch my video with your little thumbs down ever have to go through what my family go through. But you see, that's the thing. These little fucking naysayers coming in with their fucking thumbs down, they're the ones going around lacing other people's cigarettes with medical fentanyl and setting the stage for fucking murder. If they're not pushing them off fucking balconies off a 34-story building at 7 o'clock in the morning, they're running around, sneaking in the background, lacing cigarettes, plotting with somebody else to come back in and fucking hot cap them with the speedball to cover up the fact that they were fucking murdered. As the cops, ching ching, ching ching, because you know they're running those bodies through the healthcare system and gutting them. And then who knows what after the fact, because for all we know, they're probably shipping them off to some processing plant up in the interior. Don't underestimate it. Don't fucking underestimate it. Stop falling for the old okie dokie. Everybody did it to themselves. They were depressed and they killed themselves. Oops, sorry, it was an accident. No, there are no fucking accidents. I want a bone. I don't see no bones. Here's a bone. Okay, this is a bone. I can feel it. It disintegrated. And it's good. And because it's bone, it's high in calcium. This is so good. I'm so glad I did this. So, now, it's just going to go into whatever I was recording after the fact. But there's a part missing, so I kind of just jump into the video. I was debating about whether I should put it up or not. But I'm going to, because I do talk about how the hell is it that I'm fucking afraid of an old woman. Not to mention her whole fucking family. Not to mention her whole fucking culture. How about that? Huh? Well, it's my imagination station? No, just go look at East Hastings and see how many homeless people that are out there. How many broken lives that will never have, quote-unquote, affordable housing. Because it was by design. That's why. They need to have their hunting grounds, people. Sierra was fucking hunted. I don't know what part of that you don't understand. Okay, so it's halibut, which is an expensive fish. So it was just meat ends, like fish ends. That's all it was. It was 3 different... Well, one thing they had... I bought from behind the counter where the butcher was. And he bagged that up for me. And then there was 2 packs that were just miscellaneous ends as well that I bought. So there was like 3 packs, basically, of miscellaneous ends. We're probably looking at about $25, maybe $30, I think, of halibut fish ends. This is the, the fin areas and those types of things. I'm going to put these in their own jar because what's going to happen is as they cook, they're going to release juices. So, I mean, it's raw fish and it actually smells pretty good. Seriously. Now it's been frozen in my freezer for quite a long time. But besides that point, it's fine. Now I do have black cod downstairs still, but that's another day perhaps. Right now, this is what I want to do. And so basically, what I'm going to do is fill up my jars here for as much as I can. And I'm going to open up this. It's brand new. Okay. And I will put honestly, I want to put at least a tablespoon in, but maybe a half a teaspoon. I don't know. We'll see. Right? The pressure canner itself can't go higher than the flash point of virgin oil, so it should be okay. Now that I'm thinking about those things. Just saying. We're not going to get that many jars, but it's going to be good. I've decided not to pre-cook it and debone it because I want the juices and everything from the bones. And then, of course, we'll see how the bones cook as well, right? I don't know if they're going to cook like a salmon bone. That would be great if they did. But if they don't, I'm not sweating it. Okay, so I'll be back. Hold on. So I'm listening to Stu Peters on BitChute. More people talking about illegal organ harvesting. Child trafficking. Human. Hell. Anyway, I bought some essential oils to make up a little massage oil for Amari. So these older oil, what did I do? Oh yeah, no, I use this one here. So what I did is I put a teaspoon in each jar. This is what I've got so far. This is 12 jars so far. Right? And then I put, I don't know, a quarter teaspoon or so of salt. I use this thing and I only put half. What is that, a teaspoon? I don't think so. Anyway, I only put half. So no more than a half a teaspoon, which might be a little bit too much, but whatever. Now I'm going to start filling up the jars. Hold on. Okay, so if I like this, I'm going to do it again while it's still affordable. Bones and all. We're going to see what happens to the bones. This is like, towards the fin, right? So, but either or, that's why it's got more skin in it. No water, it's going to release its own juices. Now, these were frozen, either or. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so 12 half-pint jars, salmon size, of just, some of it was like actual chunks of halibut, so that's good. With bones and the halibut and whatever. And then 3 jars more with that inside, right? I didn't put oil in with these ones because this is more fatty, right? And that's only 3 jars though, and that's just for, I don't know, maybe flavoring. I'd have to wait and see. It might be cat food for all I know yet. It's hard to say, right? It's good to suck on the bones, eh? It would be nice if they get really soft, so we'll find out. So, cold canner, cold fish, cold jars, right? Put your lid on, turn up your heat, start venting, 10 minutes. And as soon as it's venting, after 10 minutes, put your weight on, bring it up to pressure, and then I'm going to cook it for 100 minutes. So I'll be standing here for 100 minutes, doing my little dance. Yeah. Okay, so here I'm thinking, oh, geez, you're getting real tired. You just don't want to do this no more for a while. Ooh, put the canner away. Yay, happy day. And then I remembered those peaches. I like this canner because it's high up, right? I can cover the peaches with the water in the quart side. I use a pizza pan to cover it over the top, right? So, I guess I won't be putting this canner away just yet. If I can squeeze in some of those dented cans over the next week or 2, or maybe 3, a couple of weeks, I don't know. I just want to put all these big pots and everything away. Right? I'm not going to do no canning like this. You know what else I'm thinking? But I don't think this was the problem with that bacon, with that grease and stuff. I'm having a problem with this burner. So, I'm kind of nervous to put on this, bring it up to pressure, start turning it down, and it just keeps going. Now, in a situation like that, this is not that heavy. I would probably go out of my way and try and pick up the canner off the burner, although I would think that would be very dangerous because as soon as this starts to jiggle, right? As soon as you start moving the canner and stuff, this is going to jiggle. Everything's going to be spitting out, and if this thing flies off, I don't know, like, that's not very good. Like, God forbid if my burner doesn't turn down when I turn it down on the knob. So, that's something else to factor in that maybe was the issue, but I don't think so. I don't think that was the issue. There's a loose little connection in there somewhere, so I have to tap it with a knife, right, to get it working correctly. You can see it's working real good right now. Gotta have that heart of steel! Oh, jeez. Don't get nervous. I'm gonna stand here and see. Yeah, wouldn't that be quite the video? Because my burner won't shut off or slow down. That'd be awful. Oh my God. Huh. It could happen that fast. Yeah. It was on max and I turned it a little closer to 9 before I put that on there, right? It already vented in there, so it'll be fine. I'm going to be here for 100 minutes anyway. I'm already tired. Doing those videos kind of took up my time, right? Because to me, that shit that's, you know, and it's the same old okie dokie. Serious. Oh, well, you know, British Columbia, Canada tends to get more homeless people because it's the warm province, and all these other provinces across Canada put them on a bus and make them disappear. Yeah, they just send them off to BC, and you hear it from the government too, right? But you don't hear them talking about everybody getting evicted from their houses now, do you? Right? My friend, I was posting, got evicted. The sheriff, or not, the bailiffs came in, and Tisha went there because the woman went to court, right, to get a stay on it. And anyway, she asked Tisha to stay with the kids, right, her kids. And so Tisha was there 3 hours, and then all of a sudden the bailiffs showed up and was harassing Tisha, and you know, and blah and blah. And next thing you know, Tisha's grabbing some stuff and grabbing the kids and bringing them here because the bailiffs called the cops and basically started pushing themselves in, saying that they're wasting time, they want to get on with it. They went in there, started packing up all her shit, loading it up onto a truck. Well, she's at court. Long story short, she ended up getting the stay, and they had to turn around and put everything back. But everything, like, talk about being raped, violated. You got 4 strange men, probably of ethnic origin that don't come from this country, you know, the UN soldiers, right? Right? I'm serious, right? You know, coming into your house and just randomly packing up your shit, throwing them into boxes, hauling them off into a fucking van or truck or something, breaking the door handles on her dressers, and, you know, going through her panty drawer, and just, who knows, right? And because she got the stay, hold on, because she got the stay, they had to put everything back. But they didn't put it back the way they found it. They just carried the boxes in and dropped them down and left. Yeah. Yeah. And now it's locked up in the Supreme Court. She's trying to decide whether she wants to follow through on it or just start looking for a place, but she can't afford $3,000 for her 2 fucking bedroom, people. That's the thing. 3 bedrooms, sorry. Whoa. And that's assuming that this canner's making me nervous. I haven't even started my 100 minutes yet. Yeah, what the hell? And that's assuming, I can hear it kind of dropping here. That's assuming I don't know. That's assuming it's not going to be $3,500 for a 3 bedroom. Well, why don't they talk about that? Okay? That's how they get these kids. Look at this. This shit's just keep going up higher. Now there's not a lot of jars in there. See? When it's like this, and if something's wrong, you just need to turn off your burner. Seriously. Yeah, no. I'm going to come back on this. Hold on a minute. Okay, I think my burner's fried. Yeah. Because I turned off the stove. You've seen that. Because it just kept going, right? Even as I was turning down the heat. Okay. And now it's been dropping. So I turned back up the heat. But I came in from minimum up, right? And I'm on 5. And it keeps dropping now. Oh. Yeah, so you see, now it's past the 10, so I'm going to turn this burner off because there's something wrong with this burner. So maybe that was the problem with the last time when I did the bacon. It was going higher and higher and higher and higher, right? Because the same thing was happening just now. See, now we're below 10, so I can't start over again. I mean, I can't continue. I have to let it cool down for a few minutes, and then I'm going to pick it up in the palm of my hands, but not yet, because I don't want to jiggle it. I'm not in the mood to be having my nerves fried here. I don't want to take no chances, especially when I'm in the ending stages of actually putting this pressure canner away for a while, right? I'm just going to let it cool down for a bit. And then I'm going to move it over to this burner, because this burner should be fine. Right? And just start the process over again. Right? Bring it up. Like, I have to wait till I have to wait until this little part here, this little whatever it's called, drops. Give it a few more minutes. Take off that. Right? That's really when it's a good time to move your pressure canner. Right? Otherwise, if I pick it up now, you know, it's going to jiggle and it's going to spit, and I don't know, I don't even want to chance it. And then move it on to that burner, and then bring it to a boil, vent it for 10 minutes, and start the process all over. Well, now we know anyway that there's a good chance that maybe the issue was my burner with the bacon, but I don't know about that, people, because I was doing fine for the last 6 minutes, and that was a 75-minute run. And then just all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just kept on rising. And so, that fat heats up and retains heat, right? So I don't think there's a lot of information about that amount of grease in jars in a pressure canner for 75 minutes and how it would react outside of. In the instruction manual, they like to tell you to cut off as much fat as you can. So that right there tells you something. But I never stopped to think about it, okay? And there's different kinds of fat, right? Like you can pressure can butter for 75 minutes and that's not an issue, I don't think. I never had no problem. I did a couple of batches of that and there was no issues. But definitely there's something going on with this burner. Anyway, I'm just going to end this video and I'll mess with this tonight. What was I talking about? Yeah. I'm listening on BitChute about these underground cities and tunnels and, human trafficking and Satanism and just aliens and just the whole 9 yards, right? And like, you know, when like this guy is just fucking playing into the same old okie dokie, you know, right? The cover is of the story is, oh, we get all these homeless people coming in from all these other provinces because dirty cops send them our way. No, no. It goes a lot further than that. Like, you know, like even with my landlady, people, like, you know, like, so you let me stay because I'm blind. If I wasn't blind, you'd kick me out. I mean, clearly I've been gang stalked for quite a few years here, people, because the minute I move is the minute the rent goes up. By triple. Double for sure. 2.5 times, if not triple, because of the yard work that I've done. Right? She still has the for sale sign up. So, you know, it's a syndicate. It is, but she, you know, make more money for the next landlord who is probably a family member somewhere down the family line tree, right? You know, like, and then she tells me to sell everything. Yeah, okay, I'm going to sell everything and I'm going to take my grandkids and I'm going to go move out in your fucking front lawn. How about that? Oh, I know, you can call the cops and have me arrested for being a nuisance. Right. Yeah. Offers no solutions. The only solution she ever offered me way in the back of the day when she was trying to get me out before with, you know, not fixing this and take it as is and you don't like it, you can move and blah, 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 or blah, or blah, you know, was, oh, well, it's the government's responsibility to house you with subsidized housing. I don't know. It's not going to happen. Right? I can't move my family, whatever that family is, my remaining family. Maybe if my family wouldn't have got half of them knocked off, taken off the planet, it would have been a little better. But no, because you see, that's not the game plan, right? That's not the game plan. Only certain people are up for auction when it comes to that organ harvesting, right? There are the recipients to the organs, and then there are the ones that have them ripped out of their bodies. So there. I have to start all over again. Okay, so second time around, what I did is I changed the burner. Because it's really hard for me to get to the knob behind a big pot. I need to be able to adjust the temperature, not be tapping it with a knife. So I took out this burner and I put in the other burner. But I don't know, it could be the actual connector itself versus maybe the burner. Now I've been rocking this pretty hard, so I don't know. I'm almost afraid to use it, seriously.
But did you know that it was actually Charles's Twitter account who marked the launch of the Great Reset? They even had like a cute little graphic.
In all the years that I've been doing this, I think I've only had to restart like maybe 2 times. So this is either the second or the third time. So that's not so bad.
It is an opportunity we have never had before.
It's the fact that I don't know what's going on with the heat.
All the leaders we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one
in terms of that gauge.
His Twitter account even tagged the World Economic
Anyway.
Since 2020, Charles has regularly promoted the Great Reset.
Okay, so what I'm noticing here is, since I've changed the burner, the gauge is, this is a much hotter burner, let's just put it that way. Because the needle on the gauge was being pushed up. I mean, obviously it only got halfway between 1 and 5, a little less than half, right? Where with the other one, no, not so much, right? That's the first thing I noticed. And of course, I'm all panicky now, right? So what I did is I had it on 9 on the full vent, okay? But I want to make sure that my knob is actually working with my quote-unquote burner versus it just being the problem with the burner, okay? So I turned it down to, well, between 9 and 8. So it must have been between max and 9. It was just a little past 9. And I turned it down a bit just to see if it would respond, right? And almost immediately I could hear it. I'm letting you know this, so if you run into these problems, remember it's going into your short-term memory through your hippocampus. You'll go to sleep, and your memory, that part of your memory, they'll log it into the long-term, right? Okay, we're going to try this again. Alright. Okay, now I'm not going to turn up the heat, but it should respond when I start turning it down once it gets past 11. Okay. And because I kind of broke the vent a little bit, the pressure is going to build up a little slower versus if I kept the vent shooting at pretty much top speed, then put it on, the needle was already ready to fly, okay? But, you know, I'm a little nervous because I don't know where the issue is here, right? Now, what happened with the bacon could very well be related to what I'm going through right now with the burner. Yeah. Maybe it has nothing to do with too much fat in the pressure canner, although I'm very suspicious about it now that I think about it in terms of what if I got it to that flash point where it starts to burn and then just ignites. Boom! That's what would happen. And I'm like, holy shit, what did you do? Anyway, I'm standing here and I'm thinking about the Amish community. And like they're a very large community with large households with children running around and, you know, just chatter, chatter, chatter. And they do a lot of canning, right? That's how they sustain themselves between their gardens and whatever, right? And, I haven't started. Yesterday I was so dizzy, I don't know why. Maybe they choose to water bath everything because it's a much, I would say, safer method, and it's much more peaceful and relaxing than this. Okay. Seriously. You know, because you just never know when your heart's going to start going with this thing. Like seriously, and you got to troubleshoot on the fly. So it's rising slowly, right? So that's good. It's not like, I don't like it when it's shh like that, eh? When it's shh, you got a problem. But when it's going like this, you're okay. Right.
That Prince William and Kate Middleton named their youngest son.
So I'm just waiting to see what happens.
After Uncle Dickie died in an
It seems to be much more manageable and controllable now. Where that other one with the other burner was just, I don't know, unpredictable.
The Freedom of Information Act revealed that he and his wife were, quote, persons of extremely low morals, end quote. And Mountbatten had a perversion for young boys. American intelligence officers began piling this dossier back in 1974.
We're almost at 10 pounds per pressure. So you've seen me, right? I waited for this to drop, and then I gave it a few minutes, then I pulled off the weight, moved it off the burner, switched the burners around, and then started the I didn't even open the lid. You don't have to open the lid. But you do have to cool down your canner to a point, right?
Lady Mountbatten was considered equally erratic.
So we've met our this battery I think is going to burn out here pretty soon. Our threshold, we're going into 11 pounds per pressure. So now we're going to set the time.
He said he used to transport young boys ages 8 to 12 toward Mountbatten.
1 hour and 40 minutes.
Brandy spiked the lemonade.
So that gives you an hour. Like, I'm sorry, 100 minutes. Okay, you can do 100 minutes or 110. I'm going to do 100.
Apparently they didn't.
Now it's starting to rise past, so I'm going to start turning it down to 8.
Did we not ask?
Just so that it doesn't drop too fast. Right? You can actually hear the pressure canner changing on the inside because things are squeaking and making noise. Right? So it appears that my knob is working correctly. It was the burner that was the problem. So far. I'm not out of the woods yet. Because it's still rising. There's not a lot of jars in there. So it's going to do that. Right?
Salvo wrote a PR handbook for the royal family and regularly
we're at we're pushing towards 15 now. I want to see it start dropping a bit. So I got it on 4 now. Okay.
Where he had his own set of keys to these hospitals,
it should start dropping.
His own rooms under the roofs. So he had
but it doesn't look like it is. No.
Children and adults alike.
I can hear it dropping though. You see, that's the thing. It's like that boiling water, right? I can hear it.
There was no way Prince Charles knew what Salvo got up to. He was a criminal mastermind. Yeah, right. You know,
on a good day, I'm between 2 and 4.
They knew exactly what he was up to.
Now see, I'm going to drop it down to 3 now because it's not responding. It's not responding fast enough, okay? That's where you got to just keep dropping. You got to stand here, right? More than anything, I think that's one of the most important things. Don't assume these things are stable because they're not.
The only difference is we found out.
So I'm going to take it to 2 now because it's not. The needle is holding between 10 and 15. It's not moving. It's just staying there. Why? I've been turning down the heat.
1 year later, in 2017, Spacey was charged for assaulting a 14-year-old boy.
I can hear the canner though. It's very low now. The heat, you can tell that the heat's dropped.
By more than a dozen men. It should be noted that 3 of Kevin Spacey's accusers have died shortly under mysterious circumstances after they spoke
it gives me a bloody nervous breakdown sometimes.
Remember, after these allegations, Kevin Spacey released
now it looks like it's starting to drop. So now you got to kind of start inching it back up and find that so-called sweet spot.
There was ominous music. I'll roll the clip.
You don't want it to drop too fast, right? I need to have it drop a little more, but not too fast.
Fun fact,
I'm not going to do no canning for a couple of weeks. Not even the peaches. Give myself 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Without talking about the World Economic Forum.
I'm going to put this thing away out of my mind so I don't see it. See, now it's dropping too much. Now I'm having to inch it back up. Go figure, right? I'm at 3 now.
And just like King Charles's brother, Prince Andrew, there's about
go 3.5.
of Kevin Spacey and Ghislaine Maxwell with his links
So,
to Epstein and Lolita.
it appears to be working.
In this photo, we're looking at
You see, my landlady acts like I've done something wrong.
is shot every 3 hours and 41 minutes. And a person
Yeah.
is murdered every
I only allow you to stay. I only let you to stay. She didn't say allow, let you. I let you stay because of what's going on. But sell all your stuff. I had 1 extra pack of that pork fat. So I'm rendering it right now. And then I'm just going to put it in one of these with a clean lid, turn it upside down. Either put it in the fridge and it should be fine. Right? Jars aren't hot, nothing, just whatever, it should be fine. But you know, when you stand here and you do stuff like this, you think, right? Like, you know, I don't want to beat myself up. I don't want to beat myself up, right? With, like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, I gave up my life. I told her last time when she came with kick out my son and clear out the basement or clear out the upstairs and or whatever, right? Like, fuck, man. I told her I gave up my life. Like, fuck people, you don't even know. Like, you don't even know. And what? They justify it? Well, the house is going to be torn down, so who gives a shit about the yard? You should have lived with mud, grit, sand, weeds, raccoon shit, and freaking water drainage problems. Not including broken pipes. Oh. So of course I'm running around the house. What can I sell? What can I sell? How can I sell it? You ain't gonna get shit, right? You know, people just waiting for you to die off so they can take it, or they're just waiting for you to get rid of it. One or the other, right? The chances of you selling it are like, who knows? Depends on what it is. If I start selling off the musical instruments, oh yeah, those will go fast. But why should I have to? I'm 61 years old. I'm 61 years old, and I have grandkids, and I did park events, and I sacrificed my life for that too, right? For the foundation. And now my landlady just wants me to throw everything out into the fucking garbage. Oh no, I'm sorry, sell it. Where am I going with this big wad of money that I might make? Where am I going? Can't afford no housing. That's why she wants me to get rid of my shit. So it's easy to throw me out. Less to pack up with the bailiffs, right? Isn't that how it works? Or is it just the UN soldiers coming in and doing it for her? Who fucking knows?
Look at this. Look at this.
I guess it depends on the organized religion in terms of who you're renting off of.
To roost. Those people are the end result of the baby mama culture when they kick the man out of the house. No discipline, no structure. Just take whatever they want, do whatever they want, and they don't care who gets hurt. That's what we're fighting.
Don't care who you hurt. Doesn't that sound familiar? I've been saying it for freaking years. Going to my videos. That guy was probably watching my videos. That's what I've been saying for freaking years and years and years and years. Only it's with more urgency now, because it's like I don't know, people. Like it's a lot. I don't want to call it predictive programming, but why tell me that you care about me enough to let me stay here because of my quote unquote eyes? She didn't say my grandkids. She said my eyes, right? And then not even a minute later or whatever it was in the conversation, tell me to start selling everything. Basically to make it easy on myself when I do have to leave. Because she knows she's going to sell it and a new owner will come in, and if I think I got it bad now, wait, I'll probably get it 10 times fucking worse. Yeah, because, you know, they just bought the house and taxes are high and the water bill is high and, you know, and blah and blah and blah. I'll be like, I heard it all already.
Which I think we saw in the episode of Black Mirror. But back to the main event. The real story is that the return of the lawlessness reared its head this weekend when crowds of young black people unleashed chaos on downtown Chicago, smashing and breaking anything in their path, firing off guns. Some people died, some people got injured. Beating up a lot of people.
It really takes away from the quality of living.
It got so bad out there that Fox
Yeah.
Chicago reported that
You feel like you're on the run, all the time on the run. Only there's nowhere to run, because everywhere you go, somebody's out to get you in terms of, sorry, coming after you. You didn't do this right, and you didn't do that right, and you can't have this, and you can't have that, and you're not allowed this, and you're not allowed that, and you're this, and you're always that, and you'll never be anything but that. That's what I mean by predictive programming. Say it enough times, they convince themselves that you believe it. They convince themselves that you will believe it. Yeah.
But stop. Now, one
And a lot of people do end up believing it. And even when you don't believe it like me, you're still stuck with it. You're trapped. And it becomes like a living fucking hell.
there were a few that came with different intentions.
And it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
Language, which I think is wrong. To say that
Why would you want to live to old age? I don't want to say to be a menace, but to go out and to cause harm and injure and to maim and to destroy and to humiliate and to mock. Just a whole lot of negative fucking things that all fall in under that quote-unquote predictive programming. Just so that you can accumulate more wealth for the so-called quote-unquote family, as you profess to be a family what? What kind of family, more than one, are we actually dealing with here? And really, where did they really come from?
Why aren't the prosecutors doing their
For them
jobs in
to be the way they are.
violent criminals? Why did they empty prisons of violent criminals during COVID?
I'm just saying. And that's on a collective level,
And more importantly, why are
right? Because it's not just my landlady that thinks like this, people.
talk about Chicago?
The majority, if not all of them, think like this. They're just not up and open about it in your face.
Like Black Lives Matter, weaponized pain, weaponized groups against their own interests.
But when you look at the actions
Especially in these black demographics of these inner
and you compound it over a period of years and years and years and years and years and years, it's not that hard to figure out.
all youth. Think about the transgender movement, where there is no strong role model. These children
Right.
are growing up without traditional values.
I don't know how to fix this problem other than either I die and poof, I'm gone, nothing moves except me, and I won't have to worry about it, and everybody else can fucking deal with it. All right. Two, I can sit here and convince myself that what my landlady is saying is my fate, and I therefore should act upon it in order to have people not be mad at me, and just start selling off my shit. And if I can't sell it off, just haul it off to the fucking road and leave it on the curbside. And then when she comes for rent, she'll say, "What are you doing?" And I'll be like, "Well, I sold everything. I got rid of it. It's an empty house. All I have is a stick and a fucking mallet. That's my gift to you. How about that?" And I'll walk out the door with the kids with nothing. 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 Absolutely fucking nothing. Assuming that I'll even have my grandkids with me by that time. Because you know the social workers are going to come trampling through once the house is fucking empty.
Even though it's the government who enable and in many instances cause these problems.
There's no reasoning behind it, people. I'm 61 years old. I was born in fucking Canada, and I'm being run out of my fucking country. Literally. As we've got, I don't know, handlers on YouTube putting out the old okie dokie. Ah, yeah, the old fucking okie dokie. Sierra liked being out on the streets there so that fucking strangers could walk by and just videotape her and talk behind her fucking back and victimize her twice. Not twice, but 3 times, 4 times. Victimize her 2,000 times over. Just so they could justify their fucking concentrated hunting grounds. Yeah, they're concentrated hunting grounds. Because normally those things are all fucking fenced off.
Combined with a lack of community, lack of personal responsibility, and
Janice Shore. Oh, I don't remember the year. 2000 and... what was it? 15, 16, 14? No. Wasn't 14, I don't think. Maybe. Janice Shore.
So if I were you, I'd say it. What do you think, Internet friends? You know, I always look
Hung
forward
from a
to
tree.
Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon, and also for purchasing my book.
Right in the center of homeless in Surrey. With the homeless people walking around all over the place. But not on that night. Not that night when they strung her up on a fucking tree upside down with her eyes gouged out. Not a homeless person in sight. Even though the field that she was hung in, there's always homeless people. Interesting how there was none that night. Yeah, I wonder how that happened, eh, people? Homeless people came in the morning and found her, seen her hanging upside down with her eyes gouged out. Yeah, yeah.
distracted from the spiritual journey and instead focused on.
Nobody's seen it, even though they were sleeping in that fucking field. Yeah, okay.
As it relates to
No, it's because the cops rustled them all up and hauled their asses out of there, did their fucking dirty deeds, and then left. And then let the homeless people go, and they wandered back in, and that's how they found her. And she's not the only woman out here in Surrey that's had their eyes gouged out. Because there's a serial killer out here, people, and there's more than one.
No allegiance to our country or its citizens.
And who do you think they like to prey on the most? The ones that are up on that auction block when it comes to the homeless people. You know, why go to Africa when you can fucking hunt in fucking Surrey? Or maybe East Vancouver downtown. Like I said, if somebody goes missing, what, people rumorville talk, you know, whatever, but nobody's connecting the dots. Hell no, because you got the handler running around victimizing them by saying, oh, they're just a bunch of addicts that want to do drugs legally. But don't worry, the cops will come in and do a sweep. And for their effort, what happens? The homeless people move in back the next day. Well, I wonder why. Maybe because all the Punjabis are kicking everybody out and making them have fucking nervous breakdown. Anyone ever stop to think about that? And if it's not the Punjabis, it's the fucking Muslims. And if it's not the Muslims, it's the freaking Hindus. And if it's not the freaking Hindus, well, I'm pretty sure the Eleanor Gilding, the fucking Catholics are in there like a dirty shirt too.
Globalism is already here, but the media pretends.
If you got a house, hell. That's exactly it. That's where you came from. Hell. In terms of if you're a homeowner and that's how you supplement your income, just so that you can, right, brag, exist, not coexist with society, but just exist. Then yeah, I would say you came from fucking hell, really, because what else? Because the only way you can sustain it is by destroying families, innocent children, innocent elderly, innocent fucking youth, right? The blind!
For Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
The babies being born
Emerging leading economies of this whole
into a community that only sees them as a commodity and not as a human being.
Just last week, a Russian official
And being that everybody's got their fucking backs around here,
currency allegedly backed in
providing that they match the suit of the card,
sign that the US dollar is losing its place as number one.
nobody's going to jail for shit, people.
In its role in trade and exchange. The exchange of
Because,
oil and
you know, just open up a channel on YouTube and spread misinformation, and YouTube will reward you big time.
reserves has fallen.
Yeah.
The U.S. government's spending and
Yeah.
borrowing are only possible because the people want dollars. If the demand for the dollar goes down, its value will fall, and American prices will go up. In the worst case, it could cause the dollar to fall. So I'm going to play for you right now my video from this week about de-dollarization and the parallels between the fall of Rome and right now. The fall of Rome was characterized by multiple plagues that had a huge economic impact. The empire started out with silver coinage, but ended with metal coins painted to give the appearance of silver. Rome itself was built on conquest and on expansion, but over the years it stretched itself too thin, weakening its military.
It's not as simple as just pack up and go off to the bush and be a jumberlack. Lumberjack. A jumberlack. Got that backwards. A lumberjack. Could you see me going off being a lumberjack? Because I'm thinking about the BC Liberal government when they really fucked up this province. But they just set the precedence for the MDP to come in and finish it off, right? When it comes to this housing corruption and all this other crap, right? They were, like, when they were in power, and how they justified it was, oh, well, if you got to leave the province, you know, because you can't afford housing and, you know, blah, well, then I guess you're just going to have to go to a different province and go get a different job and situate yourself where you can actually afford housing for your family. Get the fuck out. Basically, that was basically it, people. Yeah, because the problem with the immigrants coming in was already there. You see, that's the thing. right?
And on the docket for this week is
And now it's like a bad addiction with them. Worse than
potential
fucking
arrest
crack
of our
cocaine.
former president, no
Yeah.
big deal. Meanwhile, our most recent former presidents, who, as far as I can tell, are not getting arrested
Between
this week, have
these
gotten our country into
smart cities that they're building, the next generation of slums with the rich landlords living in the monster homes in a different area of Surrey.
Afghanistan, the graveyard of empire.
They're just going ching ching, ching ching, ching ching, right? If you got 133 suites versus 3 houses, right, in the same square footage, and you've got, oh, I don't know, 10 or 15 owners to those suites in terms of the building as a whole, and they're renting out each suite for $3,000, $2,500 for something that's like a 1-bedroom box. They're laughing. They're laughing. That's how they can afford their houses, these monster homes.
Any other country does on
Yeah.
theirs.
That's exactly how they do it, people.
And the military contractors are lining the pockets.
That's why they're pushing for it so fucking hard. And they will become the next slum landlords in 20 to 30 years from now, whoever owns those places, just like with these houses.
So let's talk about the elephant in the
Yep.
room for a second. With all of this hyperinflation we're experiencing on the daily, with all this banking drama going on, let's talk about our dollar for a moment. The thing we
No,
all
they don't want
work
to fix
so
these
hard
old
for,
houses
it makes
because
it
they're
so
old.
complicated
Yeah,
for no
okay.
reason to only
That's why
like
you want to rent it out for $4,500 a month. Then you'll fix it for a little bit. Not all of it, but just enough to make the tenants think that you'll continue fixing it until you run them out so that you can turn around and charge $7,000 if you haven't torn down this fucking house yet.
This game helps the United States keep its money strong and make sure other
Right.
countries want to buy.
No wonder why people are homeless.
Other countries
Yeah.
don't want to play the game anymore. That could definitely cause problems for the United States. Because
Assuming that
we
they
don't
even
have
make
a
it out into
global
the streets if they don't die in the
hegemony
houses
and
before they
dollar as a
leave.
political tool.
Okay?
And that's where we are right now amid the Russia-Ukraine war and this whole.
Because a lot of them are dying in their houses.
China put an out this week that Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan.
Mysteriously, I might
instead of
add.
the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing.
For Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raising.
Oh my God,
more and more
52 minutes more to
kind of
go.
inflation.
We have arrived at the inevitability of the dethroning of the dollar. On the political stage, we're so seemingly.
You see, I was raised to respect the elderly, right? Not fucking fear them. That they're out to destroy me. Literally, people. If I felt like the elderly were bad and unworthy and just mean, right? Fucking mean. And just, I don't know. I would never have done the nonprofit and thought about them.
Learning more about secret societies and
I know the nonprofit didn't go anywhere. That's because our world is so fucked up. But at the end of the day, like, why should I fear elderly people when I myself am elderly?
my friend,
Yeah.
I actually call her a friend, really grateful, just dropped her new book. It's called The Deep State Encyclopedia Exposed in the Cabal's Playbook. It's A to Z, and it covers everything. You can't really tell the sources, like the whole nine. So
I never feared my grandmother.
Must read, so.
I know I just made a video about the parallels between.
I love my grandmother. I'm looking forward to seeing her again.
But let's zoom in on Weimar Germany and ask the question: is there a link between hyperinflation and cultural decline, with an
But
emphasis on gender and sexuality?
as of late,
Does history repeat?
you know,
or does it
I take these taxis to these clinics, right? To eye clinic, whatever, right? You get these Punjabi men with their turbans on and their long gray hair, like long, as white can be, like Uncle John's hair was. And they're old, right?
This is a reference to the final days of
And I have to tell myself, don't be afraid of them.
things were just fine at
Don't,
first,
even though many of them will scowl. Not the taxi drivers. I mean, they're they're communicative. But if you're like in some place where they're just around, they literally scowl at you. They're so mean looking. You can you can see them thinking as they're scowling at you because they don't like you. That's why, right? You have to catch it in a glimpse. They're not going to come right out in your face and tell you that. Hell no.
And as a result, they went through hyperinflation.
Well, I remind myself, don't think like that. You have nothing to be afraid of.
The prices for goods and services went through the roof, and people's savings almost instantly lost almost all of their value.
Usually when people feel things, they feel it for a reason, right?
Doubled every few days. Hyperinflation was at its worst. So that was when people
I should not be having, I don't know how my landlady can feel that she's doing me a favor by, I don't know. As I said, don't put me in an early grave. Why are you trying to put me in an early grave? You sell all your stuff. Hey, yeah, then what? Put me in an early grave? Is that it? Is that what you're trying to do here? Like, why? What's your hatred towards me so much that I can't pay $4,500 a month, therefore sell all my stuff? What, to give it to you before I leave? Or what, to give it to another person like you before when I get there? And even then, they're never going to be never ever be satisfied. Do you see how it bounces from house to house to house? From landlord to landlord to landlord? Right? And because everybody's doing it. Yeah. And the government is snatching the bodies as they're falling through the fucking cracks, as the houses are imploding from the inside, as the kids are being removed from the adults that are losing their housing. And then one of three things is going to happen. They're going to end up dead. It won't be an issue. Nobody talk about it no more. Or maybe they start drinking or start doing drugs, and next thing you know, they never recover, and they're out on the streets, and they stay out on the streets. Right?
The polarizing politics. And at the center
or they go, I don't want to say mad, but kind of crazy with all the paperwork as they try and fight to get their family back and make things whole again. To which it won't happen because too many people around you don't want it to happen. You see, that's the thing. Because you're not just battling the young people, right? You're battling the old people. Like, who would have thought?
And then posted a few videos that were unsuccessful. The algorithm didn't promote them, and, they just didn't get very many views. But when he introduced the 365 days of girlhood,
oh boy, my battery's going to run out here.
Or a bunch of
okay, so I've given it an extra 10 minutes. So I've done it for 110. You can do fish for 110. Okay? I don't know, I was reading some recipe, it was going on to something about 2.5 hours in a pressure canner. I don't know about that, people. I think they got their time mixed up. Unless it was some really funky kind of fish. I don't know what kind of fish it was, but in all my years, I've never heard of that. I've heard 100 minutes or 110. And the only reason I'm giving it 110 is because when I turned down the dial just a little bit, right? It was just a little bit. Just to see if my knob was responding in terms of controlling the temperature through the burner, right? And, it dropped just slightly. But it was still venting. So, to compensate for that, an extra 10 minutes, I'm already here, so... tell you. So I think I am just going to try and avoid this for a few weeks. Yeah, I have to do that honey yet. So I should probably focus on that honey because those people, I bought that honey like 2 months ago, is still sitting at the honey store. In big 15K buckets. Buckets that I'm supposed to sell, I suppose. Am I supposed to sell my honey, people, after I jar it up? Do I make a profit for taking the time to put them into jars? Like, seriously, right? Or maybe I'm just not supposed to have honey. Never stop to think about that one. And if I'm allowed to have honey, maybe I'm only allowed to have just a jar, just one jar. That's it. Just what you need. But you only get it once every 4 months. So you got to make that one jar of honey spread out in the household, that is.
Writing it off as nothing more than tinfoil hatter.
I'm just saying.
Address the question of whether or not
Right?
Donald Trump had or has access
Like if they
to
want
the
people to move out of the province
routinely bringing
so they
up
can make
Trump's
room for their
report
friends,
examination of
then
the
why don't
events
they
at
start
Nikola Tesla's laboratory. In the aftermath
a secondary
of Tesla's death,
migration
the FBI reportedly confiscated his papers,
train
and they were reviewed by none other
and just
than
offer
Donald
people
Trump.
to get the fuck out of the
Physicists
province
who work for the United States government's Office of Scientific Research and Development.
versus,
Was Donald
well, you
Trump
see, you can't make money on that though, right?
Tesla's
No.
Back in
No, you need those body
2017,
parts to make the big money.
Trump
That's what you
had time
need.
away from soliciting prostitutes to write their take on the Trump Lockwood connection. They said, although these books contain
You need that that loosh harvesting in order to make yourself feel powerful
Thank you for that.
and in control.
2 years after Lockwood reached peak popularity,
There's that to
a
factor in.
writer who specializes in researching and debunking
Right.
conspiracy theories and fringe beliefs by the name Mike Rothschild.
You need the children to prop up the middle class within the foster care system so that they can pay their quote-unquote mortgages or their rents.
Theorists tend to never move on. They only add more details.
Right, just saying.
I'm sure Mr.
Amari
Rothschild
represents
knows this since he's a self-proclaimed expert
over
on
$3,000 a month
disgusting,
for a foster care parent.
conspiracy,
Over $3,000 a month.
mouth-breathing, low IQ, useless
And that's
egos
tax-free.
have the nerve
They don't pay
to
taxes on that,
discuss
people.
freely.
Because it's written
But
in the legislation.
Reminder that a conspiracy is, by definition, an evil, unlawful, treacherous, or surreptitious plan formulated in secret by two or more persons. Basically, a conspiracy is unlawful plotting between
Almost
two or more
done.
people. In a conspiracy theory,
2 more minutes.
filling in
110 minutes.
what, when, where, and why behind
Okay, I'm ending this video this next day. So that's the 3 with the fins and whatnot in it. Looks like everything's sealed. I still have to wash the jars. Right. And then this one's with the fish, more and bones and everything. The only thing that I can say that maybe I shouldn't have done was I probably put a little bit too much salt in each jar, now that I'm thinking about it. But it's okay, because you can dilute it with water when you heat it up, and it will be fine. Mix it in. I plan, pick off. I'm going to end up picking off the meat off the bones anyway, right? And depending on what's going on with the bones, how soft they are, I'm going to end up making like potato burgers with the halibut, or like, mashed potato with the halibut fried with onions, or maybe a Great Northern bean burger with the, boiled and mashed and onions and some seasoning with a little bit of halibut in it, because this is halibut, right? And then fried. So either or, before you use it, you're going to have to process it. But that's not so bad. I'm pretty impressed with that. So what do we get? 12 jars of halibut, basically, with a fair amount of meat inside each jar, including the bones. And then we've got the ones more with the fins, that type of thing, you can see with the skin, which, again, you can do something with. And then the last pack of that pork that I rendered. Alright. Just because.